Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the show. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to discuss. Sony and Microsoft are going at it again, and it does not look good. Once again, happy Thanksgiving for those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving. I think every day should be Thanksgiving. I think we all have things to be thankful about. And yeah, I'm thankful for everything each and every day. And hopefully you guys have a great time with your loved ones tomorrow as we progress into Thanksgiving. And I think it's going to be a great time in general. But we have a lot of topics to go over right now because of Call of Duty. Once again, I see a lot of people are saying that they love PlayStation, but Sony is a big hypocrite right now because they're saying a bunch of things that is basically contradicting. And we really have to, talk about these things because it's crazy. This is not the first time we've heard Sony come out and say like, well, they can't compete with Call of Duty. And I feel like because of Call of Duty, it's almost as if like Sony is saying like, we won't be relevant anymore. Like if Microsoft gets Activision, then we won't be a thing because we can't compete. And it's like you guys know I love Sony. And I've said this multiple times before, and I'll say it again. Sony can do better than Call of Duty. I feel like Sony is talented enough. I feel like Sony can come up with something. Yes, it's going to take time, but to really just, I don't know. It's like Sony is just going the extreme right now because of Call of Duty. And it's just, I'm reading this stuff and I'm just shaking my head. It's just like, we look at God of War, right? And it's almost the timing of them even putting out the God of War information, which I had to take down that stream because I really want to talk about it in extent in this stream. And it's like, okay, God of War did 5.1 million in its first debut week, which is great. Fastest selling first party game for PlayStation and their studios and everything, which is understandably great, right? For a single player game. And Sony right now, I think their biggest weakness right now is multiplayer. And we understand that Call of Duty is a big part of the industry when it comes to shooters, right? But at the same time, to really kind of make yourself look like you can't do better than just one game, all of this over just one game. I don't know. I'm tired of this. I really am. Because like I said, I love Sony. I really want Sony to do well. I love Microsoft. I really want Microsoft to do well. And I want Microsoft to compete with Sony. But it's like, because of Call of Duty, it's just the clash literally continues. Now we have information about PlayStation 6, which obviously we shouldn't even be talking about PlayStation 6. But because of all this legal stuff that is going on right now, yeah, PlayStation 6 is in the mix of things, right? Not only just PlayStation 6, but Xbox admitting to something that they've already said. Matt Booty has already said, well, PlayStation got the better games, right? They got the better studios and stuff. I mean, that's pretty obvious. That goes without saying, but why do I feel like Microsoft is trying to be the good guy here in every situation? Like, putting their games down, putting their selves down in this situation just to be the good guy. And it's not working because now they have a lawsuit pending on them right now, which we're going to talk about, right? Not only that, but being the good guy is not getting you anywhere, Microsoft. Like it's not putting you anywhere. And in Sony, people are saying Sony looks like a hypocrite right now because they're contradicting themselves with everything that they're actually saying, right? They're trying to throw everything that they can to stop this deal from happening, right? And it's like, okay, that's cool. You're trying to stop this deal from happening because you feel like there's no way that you can compete without Call of Duty. But at the same time and at the same token, If Call of Duty did not exist, Sony still would be fine, right? I get it that it makes up a big part of their revenue. Believe me, I get it, right? I understand. But at the same time, where you got to ask yourself, okay, is Call of Duty still going to be relevant 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, 25 years from now? It could be something else that takes the throne of Call of Duty, right? All it takes is for somebody to be creative enough to come up with something that's better than Call of Duty. So I don't want to hear that. Like, it's almost as if like the Lord and Savior of gaming is Call of Duty. That's just how it is. It's like Sony is losing control. Microsoft is losing control because they really want this deal to go through. Sony is saying that this is going to hurt gaming and it's going to hurt developers because of this Activision ordeal. And really the main thing here is for Sony is their bottom line as far as Call of Duty. If Sony can just get what they want, which is Call of Duty, then everything will be fine, right? You got to ask yourself, guys. Now, I really want to sit down seriously now. I'm being very seriously here. Just over one game. One game. Okay. Now, this is going to be off the cuff stream because I just really want you guys, a lot of us here are PlayStation supporters, including myself. I love Sony, but I always call them out. And I'm like, listen, bro, like, I don't think this is okay. I don't know what you're doing. Yada, yada, yada. And obviously people will come after me, whatever the case may be. But the truth is the truth. I'm always going to be honest, right? They always say if you love something, you got to speak the truth. And I really want you guys to really hear this part right here that I'm going to talk about, right? Now, listen to me very carefully because this really kind of shows you a different side of Sony that a lot of you guys are probably not really expecting because this makes Sony look weak, okay? Microsoft is trying to be the good guy here and Sony is just looking hypocritical and looking weak. Like they don't like, it's like they can't be competitive. They can't come up with something other than Call of Duty. That's what the media is saying. That's what Twitter is saying right now. I know Twitter doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but yeah. So in a newly published response to the CMA statement, Sony has expressed confidence that, hold on. Before we get off into this, Larry K, thank you for the $1. Both sides are trying to look like the good and it's getting them nowhere. Sad is all I have to say. Hey, thank you so much for the $5. I appreciate it. Mythius, thank you. Now, listen, it's sad because both sides are not looking too good right now. And, you know, for the fanboys, for the Xbox fanboys, this is not looking too good as well because Microsoft just admitted once again that Sony got the better games, right? But let me read this real quick. Hold on just a second. Hold on to your horses. Let me just read this real quick. And please tell me, how does this make Sony look? Okay. Now, first thing, before we even talk about PlayStation 6 and all that other stuff, because now we're getting information about PlayStation 6 that we shouldn't really be knowing about PlayStation 6 when we just got PS5. I mean, obviously, it's pretty obvious that we're going to get a PlayStation 6. But now we have official information about PlayStation 6. We're going to talk about that. But let's talk about the big elephant in the room here. Sony claims Xbox Activision deal could hurt developers and lead to price rising. Okay, hear how that sounds. Who was the first to raise their prices? Sony. Who was the first to raise their subscription fees? Sony. Am I missing something here? So you're telling me that if Microsoft buys Activision, that's going to hurt developers and lead to price increase when When you went up on the price, Sony, you were the first to raise the price on your console. You were the first to raise the price on your subscription service. Now you're saying that's going to hurt developers? Make that make sense. I know some of you guys are smart, maybe even smarter than me. Does that make any sense? Okay. I'm asking y'all, so y'all can donate, super chats, whatever. I'm asking y'all this question. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? Microsoft buying Activision is going to hurt developers and lead to price increase. Does that make any sense? Now, let's put aside our love for Sony for a second. You guys know I love Sony with all my heart. And that's never going to change, but sometimes you just have to be real. And I can't sit here and be fake. I love Sony, bro, but I have to be real. I have to be real. Does that make sense? That makes no sense. No sense. 0 sense in what they just said. That's so like edgy and hypocritical and just what? And you raise the price of your consoles. You raise the price of your subscription service. But I digress. Let's finish reading into this one. This is coming from VGC, Video Game Chronicles, by the way. PlayStation says it's confident the UK regulator will seek to block the acquisition because Sony don't want this deal to go through because of Call of Duty. And also they're saying because it will hurt gamers and it will hurt developers. And it will not be good for the industry. Now, let's dig deeper into this one because in a newly published response to the CMA's statement, Sony has expressed confidence that the regulator will conclude that the merger is likely to result in a substantial lessening of competition and should therefore be blocked. That's what Sony is saying. This is one of the main reasons why they don't want it. They don't want this deal to go through because of competition. It's going to make Sony not be able to compete in a world where Sony has been dominating, not just in console sales, not just with their exclusive first party titles, not just with digital sales and user bases. They're dominating Microsoft. So you're telling me because of this Activision deal, Sony will be irrelevant, PlayStation will be irrelevant if this deal goes through? That's a lie. That's a lie. I'm just saying, God forbid this deal goes through, and I still do believe it's going to go through. PlayStation is still going to be relevant. Sony is making it seem like, oh, we need to pack up our lunch kits and ride off in the sunset. It's over. No, it's not over. It's not over because of Activision. Activision has been around for years. Trust me, if Sony had the money to buy Activision, they would have bought Activision a long time ago, right? If Sony could afford Call of Duty, they would have bought Call of Duty for themselves and for their platform. So you're telling me, you are sitting here telling me, Sony, that you will be irrelevant, that you won't be able to compete, that it will be flatlined for you if Microsoft goes through with this deal? Are you serious? Now, this is the same Sony that we get hype about. This is the same Sony that I love so much. This is coming out of Sony's mouth. You can't make this up. It's done. It's over for them if this deal goes through. Right? Microsoft gets a hold of Call of Duty and it's over for PlayStation. You don't believe me? Let's continue to read. The platform holder claims that if Microsoft were to gain sole control of Activision's content, independent developers will all be harmed. And Microsoft could increase prices for games, hardware, and subscriptions. Wow. Wow. Hold on. SIE is confident that the CMA's Phase 2 inquiry will confirm that the transaction is likely substantially lessen competition and should be prohibited, it said. Wow. Okay, we're not done yet. Sony goes on to argue that Call of Duty is irreplaceable and that Microsoft's ownership of it would tip the balance of power so heavily in its favor that ultimately PlayStation may not be able to compete. What? Sony? So you're saying if Microsoft gets a hold of this game, this IP, you won't be able to compete. So that means you're done. You can't touch Microsoft because of one game. I get it that it makes so much money for you and it performs better on your platform. But this make you look weak. This make you look like you can't do better than Call of Duty. You can't. Sony. Are y'all hearing this? Are y'all hearing this? That's verbatim what they're saying here. Microsoft would control irreplaceable content, which is Call of Duty, which is irreplaceable. Microsoft would control irreplaceable content, which drives user engagement. It wrote, post-transaction, Microsoft would control Activision content, which drives redacted times as much user engagement on PlayStation than all of SIE's best performing first-party titles put together. Woo! So they're basically saying that Call of Duty is the holy grail out of all their first-party titles put together when it comes to user engagement. Are you guys hearing this right now? Or are we just focusing on PS6 release date, which we're going to get to? Because we have more important matter at hand than just PS6 release date. Are y'all hearing this? Sony is putting Call of Duty on a holy grail pedestal. They're basically saying that none of their first party games can touch Call of Duty as far as user engagement. Wow. Are y'all hearing this? Oh, God. I can't. No. No. Let me get to this donation. Zay, thank you for the $10. Says Sony offers optional increased prices for subscriptions, but initial PS Plus is still the same price, and it's understandable. Most PS5 games are $10 more than PS4 based on increase in the quality. Oh man, this is crazy. This is insane. This is insane that they're making a third-party game that sells well on their platform the holy grail of all games. Hence why we haven't had a PS5 showcase because of this deal. Like this is like Call of Duty is taking over the world. Like Call of Duty is taking over PlayStation. Like it's over for them if they can't get Call of Duty. If they can't have their way with Call of Duty, it's over. Are you guys realize what's going on here? Like Sony is basically saying that Call of Duty, when it comes to engagement, cannot touch any of their first party titles. This is insane to hear that. I get it that Call of Duty will always outshine any game, right? Because it did 800 million in what, 3 days? In the box office in the weekend, in the box opening weekend, 800 million. Like we understand that there's millions of dollars at stake here, but to really kind of just dunk on your own first party games and say, well, yeah, as far as engagement goes, yeah, There's no way. There's absolutely no way. Now, to get to the news and information that some of you guys are going crazy about, which is PlayStation 6. So much information has been coming out because of this Activision Blizzard deal. PlayStation 6 release date. I'm pretty sure they didn't want this information to come out, but too late. It's out there now. PlayStation 6 release date will be after 2027. So that means that the PS5 has a 7-year life cycle. 7 to 8 years life cycle. Are you surprised? No, I'm not surprised. Are you? Now, this is coming from a document from Sony. Okay, this is not no rumor or anything like that. Now, this is coming from PlayStation.net. It says that Sony has scheduled the PlayStation 6 release date to be after 2027. So after 2027 mean 2028. So literally roughly about 8-year life cycle on the PlayStation 5, right? So don't expect PlayStation 6 to be happening anytime soon, right? Because the system came out in 2020 and they said after 2027, which will put it at around 8 years, right? Now, according to a newly released, partially redacted document from the company, the once confidential document is now available to the public. I'm pretty sure Sony didn't want you guys to find out about PlayStation 6 that quick, that soon. I'm pretty sure. Like, because nobody wants to hear about PlayStation 6 right now. But hey, there you go. Now, this is obviously with what's going on with the CMA and the pending Activision deal and investigation that Sony said welcomes back in September. Now, PS5 looks to have at least a 7-year life cycle. Now, the full document is rather lengthy at around page 22, but a paragraph at the start page 8 notes that Sony claims that Microsoft had to offer to continue making Activision's games available on PlayStation only until 2027. Remember where Phil Spencer was talking? I know where this is coming from. I know where this is coming from now. When Phil said, yes, we want Call of Duty to remain on PlayStation as long as PlayStation exists. He did talk about PS6 and PS7 and all that type of stuff, right? That's where all this is coming from now, right? Because he said that and he said, you know, as long as PlayStation exists, we want to keep Call of Duty. Matter of fact, we want to do this whole 10-year deal, right? We want to do this 10-year deal. And so it's kind of like, oh, okay, you want to do this 10-year deal, but Sony is not accepting the 10-year deal. Sony declined the 10-year deal, right? So Sony's not okay with this. And obviously now we're hearing about a next generation console from PlayStation, which is the PlayStation 6, right? We're getting information about this. So you're looking at about a 7.5 to 8 year life cycle. Now, let's go ahead and read this quote. By the time SIE launched the next generation of its PlayStation console, which is likely to occur around the redacted, it would have lost access to Call of Duty and other Activision titles, making it extremely vulnerable to consumers switching and subsequent degradation in its competitiveness. Are you guys hearing that? Wow. What? What am I reading here? What am I reading? Did you guys hear that? So you're telling me, hold on. Maybe I'm tripping. So Sony is saying, okay, let me read this again. By the time SIE launched the next generation of its PlayStation console, which is likely to occur around the redacted, it would have lost access to Call of Duty and other Activision titles, making it extremely vulnerable to consumers switching subsequent degradation in its competitiveness. What? So you're telling me by you guys losing Activision titles or not having access to Activision titles, you're telling me that you won't be able to compete with your next generation console. How does this sound? How does this sound? I can't. This is crazy. This is crazy. Now, while the exact year Sony plans to release the PlayStation 6 has been redacted, a little deduction from these two pieces of information suggests that the PS6 release date will be sometime after 2027. This would mean that the PlayStation 5 already looks like it will have a healthy life cycle of at least 7 years, given that the PS5 launched 7 years after the PS4. A 2027 release date for the PS6 would be on par for the course, really. What the heck? Sony? So you're telling me that because of Activision, because of Microsoft acquiring Activision, that you guys won't be able to compete with your next generation system because you would lose momentum. You would lose the ability to compete at a high level. So your next generation system, you won't be able to compete with Microsoft with your next generation system. That's basically what I'm getting from this. Are you guys hearing this? Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense at all? Maybe I'm tripping, but I know I'm not stupid. We just actually went over this. We just read that. What? I don't know. I just don't know what's going on at Sony right now. I really don't know. It's almost as if like Sony is just showing like they're not able to be in this gaming market anymore. If Call of Duty is just doom and gloom for them as far as them getting access to this game, like I get it that it makes up a big part of their revenue. And believe me, if Sony had the money, they would have bought Call of Duty for themselves and themselves only. But guys, how does this make one of your favorite brand look? Like, how does this make your favorite brand look? Like, let's be honest here. It doesn't make any sense. None of this makes sense. Now, we're not even done yet. Now, listen to this. Microsoft would control irreplaceable content which drives user engagement, it wrote, post-transaction. Microsoft would control Activision content which drives redacted times as much user engagement on PlayStation than all of SIE's best performing first-party titles put together. Oh, God. While Microsoft recently claimed it had offered Sony a deal that would keep the Call of Duty series on PlayStation for a decade, Sony argues that the post-transaction, Microsoft would have the ability to incentive to exclude or restrict rivals, including PlayStation and PlayStation Plus, from having access to Call of Duty. So that simply means Call of Duty won't be on PlayStation Plus because Microsoft wants that to be on their subscription services only, right? Let's continue here. According to Sony's statement during its initial inquiries, the CMA gathered data showing that Activision's and Microsoft games account for 30 to 40% of all minutes played on consoles in the UK. What? This is Sony talking. But Sony's number one, right? I'm just saying. Sony just bringing down themselves here in so many different ways. Like, this is crazy. I'm going to say this again. Let's continue to read this, okay? According to Sony's statement during its initial inquiries, the CMA gathered data showing that Activision's and Microsoft games account for 30% to 40% of all minutes played on consoles in the UK. If Microsoft were to gain sole control of Activision's content, Sony argues that consumers, competitors, and independent developers would be harmed. Are you guys hearing this? What? This is basically telling me that if Microsoft gains control of Activision, right? And okay, more and more people are playing more on Xbox, right? Like what Sony is saying, more minutes are being played on their consoles, on Microsoft consoles, because of this actual ordeal going through. That's called competitive. That's called competitiveness, right? You're competing. And so Sony is looking at this like, if this goes through, this is going to harm competition. This is going to harm independent developers, and it's going to just be bad for the industry as a whole. Sit down and think about what I just said. Oh, man, this is insane. I just woke up. I can't believe what I'm reading here. In the midterm, a significant number of PlayStation users would likely to switch to Xbox and or Game Pass. It said, what? What? What, Sony? No, this don't make sense. Sony, this don't make, hold up. What? Are you kidding me, Sony? No, this doesn't make sense. No, look at what's going on now. Look at what's going on now. Look at the numbers now. Look at what's going on right now as far as user engagement goes. Look at what's going on right now as far as digital sales are concerned. Look at what's going on as far as console sales, right? Did y'all just hear? What? Did y'all just hear this? Let me read that again so y'all can understand, because maybe I'm the one that's tripping here. In the midterm, a significant number of PlayStation users would likely to switch to Xbox and or Game Pass, it said, faced with weaker competition. Microsoft would be able to increase console and game prices for Xbox users, including those that switch from PlayStation. What? That doesn't make any sense. Increase the price of Game Pass and reduce innovation and quality? This is crazy. Sony, what? So you're telling Sony, hold up. Sony, so you're telling me because of this whole ordeal, because of this Activision Blizzard deal, you're telling me that a lot of people, a lot of PlayStation users are going to switch to Xbox and Game Pass because of this deal? Sony, you're cutting yourself short. What? Listen. Okay. You're telling me that Sony basically saying like all of our first party games can't touch this Activision. That's basically what they said earlier. All of their first party games will be irrelevant because of Call of Duty. All right? As far as they said it earlier, as far as user engagement, none of their first party games can attest to Call of Duty because Call of Duty is irreplaceable. Remember, we just read that. Now they're coming and saying in the midterm, a significant number of PlayStation users. Bro, there are PlayStation fans right now that would not give Microsoft the time of day even if this deal goes through. And even if they do, they still gonna be playing on PlayStation because Sony just got some of the best first party games. They got some of the best first party games ever. What? Who what? So you're telling me it's a wrap time. It's a wrap. You're telling me it's over for you, Sony, if this deal goes through, because so many people are going to leave PlayStation and buy an Xbox and sign up for Game Pass and forget about PlayStation. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. It's almost as if like Sony just throwing stuff to see what's going to stick, to stop this deal from happening. This is crazy. Oh my God, have mercy. I can't believe what I'm reading here. This is insane. So the strategic part about this whole thing would lock in many consumers to Xbox, including existing Xbox users who play Call of Duty and those switching from PlayStation to play Call of Duty. So back again, it's all about, if this deal goes through, Sony is in fear. Sony is worried that a lot of PlayStation fans are going to jump ship because of Call of Duty. No, bro. Call of Duty is not the end all be all thing for PlayStation fans. PlayStation fans, let me speak up since there's nobody else speaking up today. PlayStation fans just does not really just care about Call of Duty. There is more to PlayStation than Call of Duty. Sony is making it seem like, yeah, if this deal goes through, and even if Sony strikes a deal with Microsoft to get Call of Duty on their platform, it's over. What? Like PlayStation fans are just going to give up on the platform? You must not know your fan base. What? Nobody is going to walk away from PlayStation because of Call of Duty. You must not know your fan base is like, oh, I know them. Nobody's going to get up and walk away. Nobody's going to jump ship from PlayStation to Xbox because of Call of Duty. Because PlayStation fans are some of the loyalist ones out there. Next to Nintendo fans, they're not going to go anywhere, bro. If anything, like, they might buy an Xbox. I'm just saying, if it's all doom and gloom and Xbox just have Call of Duty and Call of Duty only, and it's not on PlayStation, then people are just going to buy an Xbox and still own their PlayStation and still buy PlayStation games. And maybe you might have a couple people fall off here and there, but it's not going to be drastic to the point where, oh, Sony is going out of business with PlayStation. What? Oh, thank you for the $20. Marlon, you know business is business. Sony would take a hit, but that's about it. Sony just simply would like to keep the COD cash. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. All they have to do is take the deal. Take the deal. Because here's the thing. Before I finish off your super chat, here's the thing. Here's the thing of what I'm saying. Oh, I know that this is business and business is business at the end of the day. But to sell yourself short, to make it seem like you can't do better than Call of Duty, to make it seem like your user engagement is going to fall off because of Call of Duty, when there are way more games that Sony is known for than Call of Duty. Sony is not known for Call of Duty. They're known for their single player games. That's what I am saying. What? This is insane, bro. What's up, Keegan? How you doing? So he said, this is all said just to prevent the deal. Sony won't perish, far from it. Obviously not. Sony would not, but that's how they're making it seem. That they're throwing, that's why I said they're throwing stuff to see how it sticks. They're throwing stuff to see how it sticks. It's like none of this makes sense to me. Like, don't sit there and make it seem like, oh, because of Microsoft controlling Activision and controlling Call of Duty, it's over. Like, that's how they're making it seem, because Call of Duty is basically the holy grail of games. Like, without Call of Duty, like, none of our first party games are going to survive. None of our first party games can come close to Call of Duty. That's what they just said as far as user engagement. And people are going to jump ship from PlayStation, right? Obviously, if this deal goes through, because they're going to own Call of Duty. This is crazy, man. This is insane. This is literally insane what I'm reading here today. Now, these locked-in users would become less likely to switch in response to the pro-competitive actions on SIE's part. Now, this would effectively prevent SIE from competing for the business of a large portion of console gamers, reducing its incentives to invest. Should the deal be approved, it would also give Microsoft ownership of franchises including Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Crash Bandicoot, Guitar Hero. Microsoft has said it plans to offer as many Activision Blizzard games as it can within Game Pass and PC Game Pass. Now, in its response to the CMA's issued statement, Sony argues that controlling Activision's content would tip demand for multi-game subscription services away from PlayStation Plus and towards Game Pass. What? What? Sony making it seem like there's no more room for growth after this deal goes through. It's done. You see what I'm saying? Like, the more and more you read, the more and more depressing it gets. Like, Sony, what? Listen, I get it, man. I understand that Call of Duty makes up a big portion of Sony's revenue, but what is going? Did y'all just hear that? Did y'all just hear that? In its response to the CMA's issued statement, right? Sony argues that controlling Activision's content would tip demand for multi-subscription game services. Now, here's where Sony is putting on their cap. Oh, shoot. Wait a minute. Hold on. If this deal goes through, then that means more and more people would subscribe for Game Pass because of Call of Duty, because of Overwatch, because of Diablo, because of StarCraft, because of Guitar Hero, whatever the case may be, Candy Crush, whatever the case may be, right? There's going to be a huge increase. That's how Sony is looking at this, which they should look at it that way. But Sony, what you need to be doing is, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if this deal goes through? I mean, all of this stuff. What's up, Skizzle Axe? All of this stuff you're saying is crazy to begin with, but which is partially true, because if this deal goes through, a lot of people are going to subscribe to Game Pass, right? A lot of people, because these titles are going to be in Game Pass, right? Rightfully so. But Sony, what is going to be your backup plan if this deal goes through? You're making it seem like it's doom and gloom. You're making it seem like it's over when it's not over. Let's finish. As Microsoft foreclosed PlayStation Plus, it would likely become a critical distribution channel for independent developers. In that weakened negotiation position, independent developers would likely receive worse terms for their content from Microsoft, or even be required to promise exclusivity in return for distribution. Woo! Hence what we've been hearing all this time. That is true to some extent, because we've been hearing that because of Game Pass, a lot of games are not performing well. And we see developers coming out saying, oh, Game Pass treated us right. Game Pass is making our games be more successful and everything like that. Everything is wonderful, right? And on the other hand, we have some developers saying that, well, Game Pass doesn't do nothing for our games. Game Pass don't drive user engagement. Game Pass don't do anything positive for our IPs. So, wow. And also on top of that, diminishing. Oh, very good choice of words there. Diminishing independent developers' ability and incentive to invest in high quality new games. So here we go again with the quality stuff. So basically Sony is saying this deal goes through and a lot of developers are sucked into the Game Pass vacuum, then that's going to hurt the quality of the games. Hence why Sony said the things that they said before, basically saying that, listen, hold on, listen, so you can learn. We're not going to put our first party games in a subscription model because it goes against what we're about. That's what Sony said. And it's going to hurt the quality of their games. Same thing they're saying for Microsoft. Are y'all hearing? Are y'all following with what's going on here? That's pretty obvious. Because it seemed like we have Microsoft admitting that Sony got the better quality games, and Microsoft is planning to play catch up to basically catch up to Sony with high quality games. One could argue that, well, maybe Game Pass is the reason for that. We had Phil Spencer came out recently and said, oh, the reason why we delay Starfield is because we ship games too early. Wow. Really? Man, this is just, man, OG, thank you for the $10. They must be scared of something. Listen, ding, 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 ding. The light bulbs are on right now because my emails are going off right now. Every time I seem to be working, I'm always getting emails left and right, 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 left and right. Like this is just insane. So Leo Within, thank you so much for the $10. Okay. He said, creativity, competitive. Sony doesn't want none of it. It hurts to hear how fearful and pathetic Sony making themselves sound. When I hear this, Sony just don't want to tap into the power of the mind, find that innovation. It's really sad. Bro, you guys, I've said this so many times. You guys know I love PlayStation with all my heart. I love PlayStation. You guys know that. I grew up on PlayStation as a kid. And I never thought that gaming would get to this brick wall right now. This brick wall that we're dealing with, this deal right now is showing us a whole different side of Sony. It's almost as if like Sony cannot go forward without Call of Duty. Like Sony making it seem like they would not be okay without this deal going through. Sony, you're going to be fine. You're going to take a big hit, but you're going to be fine. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Like, it's not over for Sony. I've seen people on Twitter just going crazy, butchering Sony right now. I'm not butchering Sony. I'm just simply saying, Sony, you can do better than this. I understand that this is business. I understand that Call of Duty makes up a big part of your revenue, but you're making it seem like it's over and everybody's just going to switch over to Xbox. No, Sony just saying a bunch of stuff to try to stop this deal. That's all this is. This can never be the Sony that from the 90s, from the late 90s to the early 2000s. So this can't be the same Sony, because I feel like they just throwing stuff. They're just saying a bunch of crap to see what happens, to make sure that this deal doesn't go through. This can't be Sony. This cannot be. Bro, the deadline for this thing is March 1st, 2023 to publish the findings. If it's in depth probe into the deal, if it finds that there is any anti-competitive outcome, it must then decide whether the action should be taken by it or by others to remedy, negate, or prevent the substantial lessening of competition. And if so, what action should be taken? So in other words, if Sony, with everything that Sony is saying right now, if the CMA agrees with it, then this deal might not go through. We're hearing the FTC as well is saying the same thing. Now, we're not done yet. Oh, yeah, I thought I was finished. No. Oh, we're not done. We're not done. We're just getting started. Buckle up. This is going to be a big Thanksgiving stream for y'all. Microsoft. You see what I'm saying? Microsoft is dunking on their own selves, because Microsoft, they have potential. They have a lot of games that I think are going to be of substance 2023 and beyond, right? Microsoft has said countless times that Sony got better games, higher quality games, higher quality experiences. Microsoft admits many PlayStation exclusives better quality than those on Xbox. Iconic. Woo! These companies are making themselves look very interesting, huh? Wow. I can just imagine how the fanboys really feel about their favorite piece of plastic. What? Microsoft, what? I mean, we already know that Sony dominates that department for years. Since they came out, from the very beginning, since they came out, they've been pushing out the better quality stuff, right? But wow, Microsoft downplaying themselves, Microsoft making their IPs look like they're not good enough, Microsoft trying to be the good guy in every situation, right? Microsoft has admitted that Sony has more exclusive games that are better quality than its own. The statement comes in documents pertaining to Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. In addition to being the dominant console provider, make sure your tie is around your neck properly here. Make sure you're ready to go. Make sure your suit and tie is on properly. Are y'all hearing this? Let me loosen up my tie just a second. In addition to being the dominant console provider, Sony is also a powerful game publisher. Okay, Microsoft. Okay, roger that. Reads the response from Microsoft. Sony is roughly equivalent in size to Activision and nearly double the size of Microsoft game publishing business. Lovely. Sony's exclusive first-party franchises, including God of War, The Last of Us, and the recently acquired Destiny 2, are described as iconic. Now, there were over 280 exclusive first and third-party titles on PlayStation in 2021. Nearly 5 times as many as on Xbox. Later in the document, to prove the merger would have no anti-competitive effect, Microsoft states Sony has more exclusive games than Microsoft. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. That's actually a fact. Okay? Sony has more exclusive games than Microsoft, many of which are better quality. That's a fact. Okay? That's not an opinion. Let's move along here. Both Sony's and Nintendo's exclusive first-party games rank among the best selling in Europe and worldwide. That's a fact. Okay? Not an opinion. They're correct. It reads, I'm going to read this quote. Current Sony exclusive content includes prominent first-party titles such as Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, and God of War and Spider-Man. It also suggests that Sony has entered into arrangements with third-party publishers which require the exclusion of Xbox from the set of platforms these publishers can distribute their games on. This includes Final Fantasy VII. Woo! Here we go. Here goes Microsoft now. Listen, bro. Sony does it. Microsoft does it. Microsoft got Halo. Microsoft got Gears. Hello, Microsoft. You calling the kettle black right now. Look. You're saying all this stuff about Sony, which is true. But you got Gears. You got Forza. You got Halo. Right? You got so many other games now. Oh, now that you got the Activision Blizzard stuff. Yeah, Starfield. Like, you got all this stuff, Elder Scrolls, all this stuff too. So you're making Sony look okay, like, Now you're saying about the third-party publishers. Now you're trying to throw shade. Microsoft, you the same way too. You got a bunch of third-party stuff too. Well, okay, I digress. This includes Final Fantasy VII Remake, Bloodborne, Final Fantasy 16. Oh, they had to throw Final Fantasy 16 in there. Woo, this is lovely. And Silent Hill 2 Remake as examples. Of course they had to. You thought they was not going to throw that in there? All those deals that Sony got, those third-party deals that Sony got, you know what I mean? Publishing rights, whatever the case may be. You think they're not going to talk about all of this stuff, throw it in one big old pot? Okay. Now, this is insane because, again, it also claims that the console exclusive account for a higher percentage of global game sales for PlayStation than for Xbox. Woo, that's a fact. That's a fact. Look at God of War, case in point, 5.1 million. 5.1 million in the first week. That's a fact, Microsoft. That's a fact. You speaking facts. You're speaking facts. Ooh, this is crazy, man. The deeper you dig in this is crazy. Same thing, they throwing Nintendo in there too. Nintendo ain't got nothing to do with this. But hey, there goes Nintendo name all up in there. Because Nintendo games perform insanely good. I think what was it? Like since Splatoon 3 came out, it did what, 8 million? It sold like 8 million already. And the game, it hasn't been out for what? Not even what, a month and a half? I don't remember. Remind me. Only Sony and Nintendo. That Nintendo's name is being thrown in there. Even though Nintendo can care less about this Activision Blizzard deal. You honestly think that Nintendo cares about this? They don't. Sony don't. You know what? Nintendo does not need Activision to survive. Or Call of Duty to survive. Hence why it ain't on Switch. Okay? They're doing just fine without Call of Duty and without Activision Blizzard games. They can care less if it exists or not. Nintendo is in a league of their own. Nintendo don't need no Activision Blizzard. They don't need that. They are good to go. Anyways, I digress. So let's finish this off. It also claimed that the console exclusive content for a higher percentage of global game sales for PlayStation than for Xbox, though specific figures have been removed. Now, it suggested for Nintendo, these proportions would be even higher due to the importance of Nintendo's exclusive first-party portfolio. Now, it is implausible that Sony, the leading console with a more than 2-to-1 lead, would be foreclosed as a result of not having access to single-player franchise. The document claims referring specifically to Call of Duty. Ooh, we're talking about Call of Duty again? Okay. Microsoft additionally comments on Nintendo's exclusive games, claiming it offers a broader range of mature content than Xbox. What? Who what? Microsoft what? Mature content? Microsoft, you got that sold up. Then over Nintendo. Nintendo don't really have any mature games like that. Who what are you talking about, Microsoft? Who what? Huh? Did y'all catch that? Or is it, I'm tripping? I'm tripping? What? Microsoft, what? What the heck? What are you talking about? Let me say that again. Let me say that again. What? Microsoft? Forget me what I'm reading here. Okay, let's read it again. Microsoft additionally comments on Nintendo's exclusive games, claiming it offers a broader range of mature content than Xbox. What? What? years where people are getting chainsawed in pieces. What? What, Microsoft? What? Halo? What? Those two alone walks over anything that Nintendo might have mature. What are you talking about? What? They have more mature games than you? That's a lie. People can sit there and say Nintendo is for everybody. Nintendo appeals to a broader audience, families, kids. You know, not no mature. No. Pokemon, Zelda, Mario Kart, Mario Party, Smash Brothers. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Nintendo don't even need to be in this conversation to begin with. That sounds crazy. Oh, wow, bro. Microsoft, what the heck are you talking about? No, Nintendo. No, Nintendo does not have more mature games than you. No. What are you talking about? This is crazy, bro. Like, this is insane. Now, the CMA has mischaracterized the Nintendo Switch as being a predominantly more for families. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Microsoft, what the heck are you talking about? Thank you to CMA. Thank you. Maybe I'm the crazy one here because that doesn't make any sense. What? Listen what the CMA just said. The CMA has mischaracterized the Nintendo Switch as being predominantly for families. No, it is predominantly for families. It is not for the hardcore. I know that firsthand. So the CMA is right. What are you talking about? I know that firsthand. I stopped playing a lot of Nintendo games because I'm getting older and PlayStation games really appeal more to me because it's more mature. Xbox as well. What? What are you talking about? What? Anyways, such a characterization neglects the fact that more mature adult games are available on Switch and are actively marketed, included on Switch YouTube channel, said Microsoft. What is Microsoft talking about? What? What kind of mature game? They got maybe 1 and 2 little games here. What kind of mature game that they've been promoting on their YouTube channel? See what I'm saying? They just throwing what? What are you talking about, Microsoft? You the next one. What are you talking about? You can't even make this up. You can't make this up. You can't. Make sure you guys hit the like button. You cannot make this up. You can't make this up. Did y'all just hear what I just said? Y'all don't believe me? I show screens because y'all think I'm making this stuff up. Y'all, oh no, Marlon, he just making stuff up. Oh, he just making stuff up. Nah, bruh, nah. I wish I was making it up. Hold on, let me drag this across here. Y'all think I'm just making stories up. Y'all see what that just say right there? Y'all see it for yourselves. Let me drag y'all over here. Because y'all think I'm just making stories up. Y'all see it right here, right? It's all in here. Microsoft additionally commented on Nintendo's exclusive games, claiming it offers a broader range of mature content than Xbox. The CMA has mischaracterized the Nintendo Switch as being predominantly for families. Such as characterization neglects the fact that more mature adult games are available on the Switch and are actively marketed including on Switch YouTube channel, said Microsoft, what? Nintendo use of innovation should not detract from the fact that it is still offering a console experience that competes with Xbox and Sony. They're not trying to compete with Xbox and Sony. They are not competing with you guys. What are you talking about? And has been able to successfully do so without Call of Duty being on its platform, despite previous Nintendo consoles having Call of Duty content. Here they go, trying to drag Nintendo into this mess. What? The shooter box is saying Nintendo has more mature content. The box that has been labeled for years as the shooter box, right? With the more mature stuff, Gears of War, people getting chainsaw, all type of crazy stuff in the game, is being labeled as not a mature box? Wait, what? Does that make any sense? None of this with what I'm reading makes sense. None of this is actually making any sort of sense. Please, guys, help me understand what Microsoft is saying here, dragging Nintendo into this mess when Nintendo has nothing to do with this. They have nothing to do with this ordeal. Man, this is crazy, bro. Okay, moving on. Microsoft won't put Call of Duty on PlayStation Plus, claims Sony. Sony has many arguments as to why they don't want Microsoft to acquire Activision Blizzard, and one of those is that Call of Duty won't be put on PlayStation Plus. In fact, Sony implies that none of Activision's other titles will be available on PlayStation Plus either, with players needing to subscribe to Game Pass instead. Wow, Sony. Okay, why Call of Duty won't be on PlayStation Plus? Microsoft has apparently made it clear that Call of Duty and other Activision titles like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot will not be available on any subscription services other than Xbox Game Pass. Sony claims in their response to the Competition and the Markets Authority, which is obviously the Competition Market Authority, the CMA, issue statement as Sony considers its PlayStation Plus multi-game subscription service to be critical to its future competitiveness. It considers Call of Duty on PlayStation Plus to be an essential. What? Yeah, are y'all hearing this? So I'm guessing without Call of Duty, yeah, PlayStation Plus is in trouble. Are y'all hearing this? Man, this is crazy, man. Make sure y'all hit. We have 315 people in here watching the stream. Hit that like button, guys. Come on, hit that like button. Instead, Sony believes that if it wanted the games to be available on subscription service, Microsoft would insist it should allow Game Pass to be accessible on PS5 and PS4. This is in contrast to previous assertions, from Xbox CEO Phil Spencer that this would not happen, and is in addition to the 10-year deal Sony was already offered to keep Call of Duty on PS5 and PS4. Sony points out that a contract is never foolproof against a foreclosure, especially as Microsoft has previously acquired studios like ZeniMax before making their games Xbox exclusive, such as Sony concludes that Microsoft past conduct shows that its public's utterance. Like, listen, all this stuff, man. Like I said, I just feel like a lot of these companies are just throwing things to see what sticks. They're just throwing things to see what sticks at the end of the day. They're throwing things to Microsoft is trying to be the good guy. Sony is just trying to say a bunch of stuff to stop this deal from happening. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. But you guys already know that God of War is the fastest selling first party game ever for Sony. Not only that, right? But Sony claims, as far as Microsoft's true strategy, is to make PlayStation like Nintendo. The company argues that Xbox will become the home of FPS games if its Activision deal is approved. Wow. Once again, Microsoft is saying like PlayStation is going to become like Nintendo, basically. Microsoft claims that Nintendo differentiated model demonstrates that PlayStation doesn't need Call of Duty to compete effectively. That is true. But this reveals Microsoft's true strategy. SIE statements reads, Microsoft wants PlayStation to become like Nintendo so that it would be a less close and effective competitor to Xbox. What? It says post-transaction, Xbox would become the one-stop shop for all the best-selling shooter franchises on... See, this is where you step your game up. This is where you step your game up. If you're Sony right now, this is where you step your game up. Because that's clearly where Sony is weak at is the shooters and the multiplayer stuff, which we know that they're working on, which we know that Sony is coming out with so many games in the future, multiplayer wise. They're going to come out with 10 live service games by now until 2026. So you're telling me Sony is worried about Microsoft becoming a shooter box and an FPS box when they've already been labeled as the shooter box to begin with? And Phil Spencer said they want to pull away from just being labeled as a shooter box to be more of like, I don't know, more genre friendly, right? More RPGs, more racing games, more single player games, whatever the case may be. What? SIE statement goes on to claim that Activision games, in particular Call of Duty, are critical to PlayStation. Wow. So if PlayStation don't have Call of Duty, it's over for them. Basically what I'm gathering from this. This is crazy, man. And because of, let me read this last part right here. Post-transaction would become the one-stop shop for all the best-selling shooter franchises on consoles. Call of Duty, Halo, Gears, plus Doom, Overwatch, as the decision claims, and it would then be a free from serious competitive pressure. Wow. The franchise is firmly... Listen, man. Listen. You know, money is like so important in this world. And I know money is something that not Microsoft, but Sony don't have money like Microsoft. And I think that's the Achilles heel of Sony right now. It's like they don't have the money to buy Activision. They don't have the money to buy these games that they feel like would add value to the PlayStation ecosystem and to PlayStation fans. Money, this is all this is. That's the Microsoft's secret weapon, is that they have the money. Sony does not have the money. So it's like they have Sony where they want them right now. You see the game of cat and mouse from the beginning of this generation I've been telling you guys? They have Sony where they want them. And for years, Sony has been mopping the floor with Microsoft in the game department, in the quality department, in console sales department. They're mopping the floor. So it's like, if you're Microsoft, what do you do to compete? You can't beat them with making quality games. So what do you do? It's like dang if you do, dang if you don't. Like, Sony makes the best first party games ever between the two, right? Sony is saying, listen, if this deal goes through, you're going to have a better catalog of games as far as shooters go over us. And I'm saying, well, Sony, you can do better. Like, you can develop your own stuff. You know, you had SOCOM, you had Resistance, you had so many games, Killzone, you had so many games like back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, you can develop your own stuff over time, but it's just money. It's just money. It's just money, guys. This is all money talk. This is all money talk. Without the money, it's like, it's almost as if like you can't compete. This is all this is. Because Activision, and then now we having a lawsuit here. Oh my, it just get worse and worse. Microsoft sued for allegedly exploiting Activision's weak and wounded state for $69 billion acquisition. So apparently Microsoft is being sued for buying Activision because they were weak and wounded. And here comes Microsoft to the rescue with all this money. Are y'all hearing this? Microsoft cannot win. Being the good guy in this situation, Microsoft, is not making you get this deal. Sony, on the other hand, you saying all this stuff does not mean it's over for you. Sony, you're going to just be fine. You're just going to have to come up with a backup plan. You're just going to have to find a way to innovate and come up with your own shooters. Because if this deal goes through, you're going to have to do something. It's not all doom and gloom. You're not going to perish, Sony. You're going to be fine. And that's not me defending Sony. That's a fact. Like, if we look at the history of Sony for over the past 20-something years, Sony has been dominating. Sony has been doing what they've been doing best. So it's not all doom and gloom. But to really cut yourself short like this, like, I mean, it's crazy. Now they're being sued for buying Activision, weak and wounded state of Activision, and the whole Bobby situation with Activision, and the lawsuit calls that the $69 billion deal is a bargain price for Activision, because we already know the market price was higher and whatever. Okay, but I digress. The lawsuit calls the $69 billion deal a bargain price for Activision and says that Microsoft can conspire with Bobby Kotick, that the board, to help them evade the personal and professional consequences of that scandal. So basically, around the time when all that scandal was going on with Activision, Bobby Kotick, and all that type of stuff, when Microsoft was making the announcement that they were going to buy Activision, it kind of covered over the scandal. So yeah, it covered over the scandal. Like, you don't really hear much about the scandal, and you're hearing that all type of shenanigans around the time. So that's crazy that they're going to be sued for this. Like, but anyways, Microsoft denies these allegations, saying that the proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard was negotiated lawfully and fairly. There you go. Wow. Hit that like button, man. I think I gave y'all a solid stream. I think I gave y'all a solid stream. Just off the cuff. I didn't even put timestamps on this stuff. I just went off the cuff with this stuff because I'm like, bro, like, this is crazy. This is crazy from both sides. And I had to go off the cuff because, man, I don't know what you guys think. I don't know what's going through y'all heads, but man, this is crazy from both sides of the spectrum. I mean, we're seeing Microsoft is saying what they're saying. They're saying about Nintendo having more mature games than them. Oh, God. Sony games are better than them, which is true. I mean, they do have higher quality games than Microsoft. That is true. Sony saying that they can't compete without Call of Duty. And man, this is crazy, man. This is absolutely crazy. I don't know if you guys enjoyed the stream. I know I did. I think this is one of the best streams that I've done. This is certainly off the cuff. I know this is a day before Thanksgiving, but I really wanted to come on here. I could not just settle down and not say anything about this stuff. Thank you for those who donated and with all your questions and stuff like that. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody that's here. Please hit that like button. Please. Let's see if we could get 300 likes on the show, man. Help out the streams, guys. I can't stress it enough, man. I put in so much work for you guys. I come on here, sweat, grind for you guys. Least you guys can do, if you enjoyed the content, just hit the like button. Y'all have any questions for me? Any questions? Because this is the whole point of me doing these live streams, is to talk to you guys. So you guys have any say so in anything I just said? Anything at all? Anything quick, rapid Q&A really quickly. I just want to hear what you guys have to say. I think I went straight for an hour and change. I just had to talk about all this stuff. Like, it's just, I love Sony. I want Sony to do great. I love Xbox. I want him to do great. I want Microsoft to compete with Sony and Sony to compete with Microsoft in this perfect gaming world where nothing like this should have been happening in the first place, and we can get back into gaming. But hey, man, I don't know, man. I really don't know. Popeye says, awesome stream. Thank you so much. King Mo, appreciate the love. Make sure you guys hit the like button for me. See if we could get 200 likes. Says, how many of you are getting the PlayStation 6 system, and who get in the place? Says, who are staying with this consoles and will always love gaming and just can't do it. Hey, I'm getting the PS6. You already know that. I says, if you are, what's the point of hitting the like button? Come on. It says, if you are here, yes, for sure. It says you have to give us a recap of the show earlier today because all 2 of the videos are down. Well, I had to take down the first stream because the stream crashed, and then the second stream I was talking about the whole God of War situation. So that was really all that was. It's just one topic that I was talking about. Skizzle Axe, great to see you, fam. Thank you for the love, man. It says, do you think that this deal could ruin traditional gaming going forward if it goes through? I don't think it's going to ruin traditional gaming. What I see happening is I think it just broadens the scale even more. It just broadens the horizon even more. Does that make sense? Like it just offers more options for gamers. Like, oh, I just got a $20 donation. Let me get to that. Thank you so much. There's no hope for you. My man, DX Thing 74 with the $2 says it's not over for Sony. PS6 is coming out. Laugh out loud for sure. It says they must be scared of something. Let's see here. There's no hope. Thank you so much for the $20. It says I'm late to the stream. But happy Thanksgiving to you and the fam. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the $20. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys who celebrated. And make sure you guys hit the like button to see if we can get 200 likes on the show. Larry K, thank you so much. This great show, Marlon, and keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys. They say, are you doing anything tomorrow? No, I'm going to have off tomorrow. So did you hear the rumors about that Apple may be looking into buy this? Yeah, I heard about that, but we'll see. It says, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Blessing on you, Marlon, in the stream. Hey, CF, thank you for the support. Thank y'all for the donations and for the love, man. I appreciate it. Jets fan for life says, do you think this deal will hurt Microsoft by having too many studios under their belt? Honestly, I think that the more studios Microsoft have, it makes you wonder, how is the quality control? How is Microsoft going to be able to control all these studios and put out quality games? That's the biggest concern of mine. I do believe that, Microsoft can operate off of the same amount of studios that Sony got and still be successful and still be competitive with Sony. I mean, I don't think that they need all these studios, but you have to understand what Microsoft's goal is here. They want everybody to be playing their games where Game Pass exists, right? On any screen, on any device. That's their plan altogether. But with them having, it could potentially hurt them if the quality of the games are not on par with what people are expecting from them. So yes, it could hurt them. It could definitely hurt them. If the quality is not there, it could hurt them. And hence why Sony is saying what they're saying. It says, when is the PS6 coming out? 2027, after 2027. It says they won't put quality the same as Sony and Nintendo. Exactly. And that's something that they've been lacking in for years. You know what I'm saying? That's something that they've been lacking in for years. So what did they say, Chris? Because I can't be bothered to get on Twitter right now. Just tell me what the tweet said. Let's see here. It says, so we get in a PS6 God of War game. Of course we're going to get a God of War game. Of course. You guys already know that already. Yeah, PS6. Yep. PS6. We got some information on that. Yes, we have PS6 information for sure. And I know a lot of you guys came in the stream because you saw PS6 way too early. 2020, according to Sony's legal document, 2027, after 2027. So roughly about 8 years from now. Well, no, not 8 years, because basically another 5 years from now. Well, counting next year, basically. It says, like I said, all Xbox, it says better buy all the games at $70 with zero complaints. Laugh out loud. Chillings tomorrow, my bro. Nah, Jermaine. It says 2027 is so long from now. Yeah, it is. Honestly, I don't think it's dropping. That's what they said after 2027. So I'll say 2028. Yeah. Can you imagine if Nintendo upped their performance? Oh man, that would be crazy. That would be crazy if they up their performance. That would be insane. Tomorrow, oh my God. How many times people ask me about Callisto Protocol? Yes. Why would I not get that game? That game is amazing. Yes, for sure. I will be getting it. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you did enjoy the show today, and hit the subscribe button if you're brand new to the channel as well. I appreciate all 300 plus of you guys for being here today, the day before Thanksgiving. Thank y'all, man. I hope y'all enjoy y'all Thanksgiving and have a great time with your family and everything. You know what I'm saying? I really hope that you guys enjoy your time. Enjoy your time with your family. Like I said, every day is Thanksgiving. In general, Super Gaming, thank you for the love. I appreciate you guys, man. Golden Joystick Awards 2022 winners announced. Anyway, guys, I love y'all. Be blessed. Be easy. Thank y'all for the donations. Thank y'all for the well wishes. I appreciate you guys. Enjoy your Thanksgiving with your family. I just want to say I'm thankful for life, for health, for strength, my kids, my wife to be, a roof over my head, my house, you guys as fans and supporters and family members of mine, and just to have health and strength. And I'm thankful each and every day, not just on Thanksgiving or about to be Thanksgiving. I am appreciative of everything that I have and for the community that we have built here. That's all I'm thankful for. And yeah, the sky's the limit. So I love y'all. Be blessed. Be easy. Happy holidays. Hit the like button on the way out. Tell a friend about the channel. Hit the subscribe button if you're brand new and turn on that post notification bell. And happy holidays. I will see you guys when I see you guys. I don't know if I'll be back for a little while. So love y'all. Be blessed. Be easy. And as usual, have yourself a great one.